Hey guys, Richie coming at you with another online Bible study video. We're in the book of John, and we're all the way up to chapter 10. So if this is the first one you've stumbled upon, go back to the beginning, start at John 1, and work your way through the rest of those. But today we're in John chapter 10. We're going to look at the first 21 verses of that chapter. This is Jesus talking about him being the good shepherd. Last study we ended up the whole conversation that had taken place over John 7, 8, and 9, where he's in the temple teaching during the Feast of Booths and talking about the woman caught in adultery. And Jesus talking about how he's the light of the world, he's the bread of life, and he heals the man born blind on the Sabbath day, and the conversations that come from that. Through those conversations, Jesus really talked about how he was the Son of God, how he was this Messiah that they had been looking for, that he was the one that had finally come. And of course, Pharisees didn't believe him. They thought he was blasphemous. They're ready to kill him because he is claiming to be God and he's not part of God. So, really, when you look at these conversations, you can see that Jesus either is A, the Son of God, the Messiah, or B, he is a crazy guy who's blasphemous and needs to be dealt with. Obviously, the Pharisees at the time thought he was a blasphemous person that needed to be dealt with, and obviously they dealt with him. But we can look back over history and through the scriptures and see that Jesus was truly the Son of God and the Messiah. We put our faith in that and we believe in that. So we go from chapter 10, the first 21 verses. I'm reading out of the ESV. So if you got your Bible, go ahead and grab that, and then we'll read through it. All right. It says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in another way, is a man that is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd to the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls the sheep by name, and he leads them out. He has brought them out all on his own. He goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, and they do not know the voice of strangers." This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So Jesus again said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and robbers, and the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and he will go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, and kill, and destroy. I come that you may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not love his own sheep, see the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. The wolf snatches them up and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock and one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life that I may take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have the authority to take it up again. This charge I have received from my Father." There was again division among many Jews because of his words. Many of them said, "He has a demon and is insane. Why listen to him?" And others said, "These are not the word of one who is oppressed by a demon. Can a demon open up the eyes of the blind?" All right, so there's the first 21 verses. Obviously there, is a lot going on there, a lot of analogies going on there that Jesus is throwing out. The first thing we really need to understand is that, Jesus is using an analogy of shepherds and sheep. This would have been a huge, completely understood thing for Jesus to use. This analogy is something that everyone would have understood. In their culture, they were sheep people. They were sheep people. They had pastures. They had sheep. The way that they judged their wealth, in the first century AD was, by their possessions, obviously same way we do now, but those possessions were, cattle and sheep. How many heads of sheep you got? That's how rich you were. If you live in a $300,000 house and you drive a $60,000 car, people can see that you're rich. Back in the old days, you're like, "Hey, I've got 20,000 sheep." They're like, "Whoa, this dude's loaded." That'd have been the same type of thing. You see somebody roll up in a Rolls Royce, you see somebody who has a pasture, full of thousands of sheep. It's kind of the same exact thing. So they were a shepherding community. They had sheep. They had a lot of sheep. And this relationship between the shepherd and the sheep is something that we have to understand for us to fully understand what Jesus is talking about here. If we don't understand shepherds and sheep, then we're not going to understand what Jesus is talking about here. sheep are notorious for being stupid. Okay, let's be honest with you. And it's nice that Jesus has referred to the people that follow him as sheep. Because sheep were just dumb. They were like ADD ridden. Morons who just kind of went their own way. They're kind of like the dogs in the movie Up. They see the squirrel and they go that way. No matter what they're supposed to be doing, they see a squirrel, they go that way. The sheep are the same way. They wander, they scatter. And if the shepherd is not there to lead them, they're going to go off and do their own thing, and they're going to get in trouble. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get killed. They're going to get eaten by wolves and tigers and lions and bears and all that stuff. But the shepherd is there. So Jesus comes in. He says to you, he starts off, this passage talking about shepherds and sheep. And he says, truly, truly, I say to you. Now, remember a couple times ago, we talked about the words truly, truly. That's basically, he is saying that if I'm not telling the truth, then you can kill me. So anytime you see the words truly, truly, said, written in the Bible or any ancient text, it's pretty good stuff. He says, truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs another way is a thief and robber. Now, this is kind of a, something that doesn't translate into our thing. We talk about, when we picture this, when we picture these sheep out in this pasture, we see them like, they're in like a fence, somebody's kind of watching the gate, I guess just to make sure nobody goes in. But if somebody hops the fence and jumps in, they're going in the wrong way, so it's, Jesus refers to them as a thief and robber. But what's going on here is, people will go in and steal sheep. Because you could take sheep, you could, shear off their wool, use their wool, you could kill them and eat them. They were, it'd be just like us, jumping in, breaking into somebody's house and stealing some of their stuff and using it in our daily lives. So, it's kind of the same thing, but if somebody doesn't enter through the door, somebody doesn't enter through the gate where the watchman is, they just hop the fence, they can go through and steal the sheep. They were sheep stealers, sheep thieves. But then he says, but he who enters the door is the shepherd of the sheep. So the person who goes in the right way, he is the shepherd. The gatekeeper opens up the door for him. The sheep hear his voice. He calls them individually by name, and they follow him, and he leads them out into the pasture to where they can go out and feed and be provided for. It says a stranger, they're not going to follow a stranger. They're going to go away from his voice, but they're going to follow me. And then he talks about that everyone who came before him were nothing but thieves and robbers and strangers, so he's coming up and he's setting himself up to say, look, I am the way, I'm the only way to get to God. I'm the only way to get in here. This sheepfold is, something that is symbolic of, being in the fold of Christ, being in the fold of God, being in the church, being of the safe kind. The robbers and the thieves, they want to jump in and lead people astray. And we see this coming down in verse 10, talks about how the thief comes in to steal and destroy. And we see the evil one, we see the devil, we see Satan come in and try to steal people away from the family of God, to steal people away from the fold of God. They hop in, he sneaks in, and deceives his way in and gets into our hearts and tries to pull us away. But then he says, the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. But I have come so they may have life and have it abundantly. This is a good thing. Everything that the evil one does, everything that Satan does, Jesus does the opposite. Satan comes to destroy. Jesus comes to heal and to put things back together. Satan comes to kill. Jesus comes to redeem and to live. Satan comes to destroy everything and to steal, and Jesus does the opposite of that. So then he goes down and he says, listen, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. So now Jesus kind of turns it from, the evil one's trying to steal and destroy and create chaos, and I'm trying to make everything good, and he changes it into, look, the good shepherd's going to come and he's going to lay down his life for his sheep. So, we see this, a big part of the shepherd, a big part of their job was to keep the sheep safe. We read in the Old Testament about David, how David, slayed a lion and slayed a bear who were trying to get his sheep. He was brave and he put his life in between in front of the lives of his sheep, which, it kind of sounds crazy to us. It's just a sheep, let him have the sheep. But that's what a shepherd does, and that's what the good shepherd does here that we read in John 10, is that Jesus, he is saying that he's going to lay his life down for his sheep. That way they can live, and he's going to die instead. When we look at the life of a sheep, we think, oh, it's just a sheep. Let the lion have a sheep. Don't risk your life to save a sheep. But then, God could have said the same thing to Jesus, saying, look, and they're just humans. Don't worry about those humans. Don't risk your life for those humans. Don't lay down your life for those humans. Just let them go, let them be. But that's not the way Jesus lived. That's not the way Jesus loves. That's not the way God loves. So he comes down and he says, I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep know me, just as my Father knows me, and I know my Father, and I'm going to lay down my life for my sheep. And then he goes down to verse 17. He says, for this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life so that I may take it up again. So now Jesus turns us in from the shepherd's willing to die for his sheep, and I'm the good shepherd, I'm going to die for my sheep. Then he turns us into, I have the authority to die and then live my life back up. Number 18 says, no one takes my life from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have the authority to lay my life down, and I have the authority to take it back up. And he says, this charge I received from my Father. So now he's talking about, so he goes from talking about how the sheep are in the sheepfold, and the thieves and the robbers are trying to get them out. And then he moves that into the shepherd's taking care of his flock, and he's going to lay his life down for his flock, into the point where, hey, look, I am the good shepherd, and I'm going to lay my life down, and then I'm going to take it back up. I'm going to lay down my life for my sheep, and then I'm going to take my life back up. This is a huge and crazy statement for him to say. This is him foreshadowing the fact that he was going to die on a cross, but then in 3 days he was going to raise up again. Another thing about this that's cool, another thing about this passage that's cool, is Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. This is the third time in the book of John where Jesus has an I am statement. He says, I am the bread of life. In John 8, he says, I am the light of the world. And now he is saying, I am the good shepherd. I am the shepherd of all of these people. Jesus is the only way to get into heaven. And there's one more I am statement coming up in chapter 11 that is huge, that really all of our faith and all of our hope and all of our religion and everything that we have hinges on that I am statement. And we'll get to that in a few studies, but that one's pretty huge. But then again, in 19 through 21, you see again people are divided over Jesus. They're like, this man's got a demon, he's crazy, what is wrong with him? But then you got another camp that's like, look, he's done all this stuff, there ain't no way he's got a demon. So now, it's right back to this whole either or. Jesus is either the Son of God who is the Messiah, or he is this crazy lunatic who's got a demon. It's one of the two of them, and there's evidence one way or the other, but obviously, a man who has a demon and is a lunatic and crazy can't go to the cross and then 3 days later rise up. So that's it there. We can take great faith in the fact that Jesus is our shepherd. Because we know that the shepherd's going to provide for us. We know that the shepherd's going to keep us safe. We know that the shepherd loves us. We know that the shepherd's going to lay down his life for us. We are in good hands. Even though we are stupid sheep that will wander, we know that Jesus will be there to bring us back, and that he loves us so much that he's willing to do anything for us, to feed us and keep us safe and everything. So, that's something to have great hope in and great confidence in. So, that's all for today. Next session, we'll go back and we'll look at 22 down to the end of the chapter to 42. So until then, thanks, God bless, and y'all have a great day.